So this is the old train station built by the Japanese during the occupation. And we are back on the road. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Chinese New Year. We've just touched down in Harbin International Airport. We're here for about a week, not in Harbin. We're actually going to a tier 5 city first called Qiqihar. But to get there, we have to take a 4-hour coach, which is exactly what I'm going to go and jump on now. It's always good to see a new type of landscape and environment. Heilongjiang just looks completely different to anything you'd find in Shanghai or anywhere else. So we've just stopped the coach for a quick rest on the way to Qiqihar. About 2 or 3 hours into the journey now, so we're on the final straight. This landscape is so rugged and so surreal. It's really different to anything you'd find anywhere else in China. Whenever I see it, it always makes me think how the local Heilongjiang people survive this and live their daily lives. There aren't too many people on this coach journey. I think I counted around 10 or 12. The city that we're going to, Qiqihar, is actually the second largest city in Heilongjiang province, after, of course, Harbin, which is the capital. And we just witnessed the last sunset of the year. Today is the Spring Festival Eve. Tomorrow is the Chinese New Year. That means that tonight, families will be reuniting after a long, hard year's work. Loved ones will be returning home, and families will be celebrating together. Fireworks are a huge part of Chinese New Year. The whole week of the holiday period, every day, all morning and evening, people are on the streets setting off fireworks. So of course, we went to buy some ourselves. Once we'd picked the ones that looked the best, we went off to find somewhere to light them. The streets are absolutely full of people setting off fireworks. Such a nice atmosphere, such a nice buzz. So we've just arrived at what is probably Qiqihar's answer to Harbin's Ice and Snow Festival. The night of Spring Festival, we prepared and ate jiaozi, dumplings. It's a tradition in China because the jiaozi apparently look like the old ancient gold ingots that were used as currency during the Qing dynasty. So eating them is supposed to bring good fortune and prosperity in the year ahead. So we ate quite a lot of them. Yesterday was the first day of the new year, and people in smaller provinces really like setting off fireworks. I mean, all day and all night it literally sounded like I was in the middle of a war zone. Even though it was -15, -20 degrees outside at night, people were still setting off fireworks in the street right into the early hours of the morning. It's quite impressive actually. People will also spend the first day of the Spring Festival, the New Year, visiting uncles and aunts and cousins, basically any family that's not in your immediate household. And you'll prepare gifts and take them gifts and eat meals, and that's exactly what we did. Today, however, we're going a little bit outside of the city. We have a new tradition here in Qiqihar, and that is skiing every time we come back to visit the city. So today, we're on our way to go off to a ski resort just outside of the city. We are in a really rural area. We have actually been here to this place once before. It's really far out of the city. There doesn't really seem to be many people here at all. So we've finished our day of skiing. Skiing is not such a popular sport in China, but it's definitely grown since the Beijing Olympics. As you can hear and as you can see, there are still fireworks going off absolutely everywhere. It's been a very long day and we're absolutely starving, so we've stopped now for something that Qiqihar is very famous for. We're going to go and taste some of Qiqihar's meat. It's so good to get inside the nice warmth. Qiqihar is very cold. Not as cold as last year, but still pretty cold. The only problem with Heilongjiang province and anywhere up north is you're consistently having to robe and derobe every time you enter or leave somewhere. Because everywhere inside has central heating, so it's really hot. And then obviously outside it's -15, -20, usually. That Qiqihar barbecue was absolutely incredible. I hope you guys get to experience that sometime in your life. Now we're going to take a walk around Qiqihar city centre and show you guys what a tier 5 city in China actually looks like. So obviously because it's so cold in this city, they have these huge cloth curtains covering the doors to stop the heat from going outside and the cold from coming in. It's so impressive that this is a shopping mall in a tier 5 city. It's so huge, clean, nothing like this in smaller cities in the UK. Shopping malls in China are unlike anything you'd find in the West.
and they kind of function like the heart of the city. There is a huge culture around shopping malls, and in them you'll find not only shops but also restaurants, activities, cinemas, even sports and classrooms. In fact, I've even seen a shopping mall with a stable inside with horses. Some shopping malls even have full floors dedicated to children.
It's very interesting walking along the streets in a Tier 5 Dongbei city. Because it's so cold here, not many people use bicycles the way they would in Beijing or Shanghai, and because of that the streets are a lot wider. And they don't really have bicycle lanes either. Very, very different from Shanghai. I'm so impressed by the streets and how clean they are and how many shops there are and how they're still open in such a smaller city. I mean, in the UK and many other places, town centres, city centres are very derelict and unclean, unsafe, full of graffiti and vandalism, and most of the shops are boarded up and shut. But here it's not like that at all. As you can see from the video, this isn't even the city centre, it's one of the roads just off the city centre, and it's still vibrant and all the shops are still open. It just goes to show that economic activity in China and in the smaller cities does seem to be there. It doesn't really seem to be much of an economic crash as many people keep talking about. I really like the layout of Qiqihar and the city centre, because at one end of one long street you've got the city centre, and then if you carry on just walking straight down you could reach the train station. And the train station is actually quite unusual. It was built many years ago, and it was actually built by the Japanese, and that's why it's got such a distinct design, different than obviously the other buildings that you'd find in Qiqihar. And underneath the city centre there's also an underground street filled with shops and other restaurants and other activity and stuff like that. Usually it's so cold in Qiqihar that many people walk the underground street instead of the above ground street.
The underground streets in Heilongjiang province are like cities all to themselves. Due to the harsh weather conditions, these underground spaces have evolved to become an essential part of the city. They have multiple purposes, serving as protection from the weather, retail spaces or food courts where you can go to chill out, shop and eat, and they're also good for connecting parts of the city. Like in this one, you can walk almost the full length of the city centre towards the train station without having to go back outside.
So this is the underground inside walking street when it's actually open. It actually goes on and on and on for ages. It goes from the city centre all the way up to almost to the train station. This year Dongbei has been so surprisingly warm compared to last year. Usually you'd see people on the street using the air instead of using freezers to freeze the meat and the fish that Dongbei people love to eat so much. There would just be piles of it on carts lining the streets, but this year obviously it's not cold enough for that. It's incredible to think as well that this place usually has 8-month winters. Can you imagine it being winter for 8 months, -15, -20 every single day? I could not survive that for sure. Dongbei people are very, very hard, tough, strong people. So we're just exploring a couple more final spots in Qiqihar before we head off to Beijing tomorrow. We've just come to a very, very important spot. Back when this city was first built, it was built by one of the 34 nationalities that they have in Qiqihar, a Daor person. And to commemorate the building of the city, they've set a statue of him right here.
So Qiqihar is home to around 34 different ethnic nationalities, different ethnic groups, and one of them, one of the most important, is the Daor people. Now, there's not actually many Daor people left these days, but back in 1691, the Daor Abu Da, this guy right here behind me, he got permission from the emperor to build this city. And back then it was full of Daor people. So in the Daor language, Qiqihar, the name of the city, actually means beautiful grasslands. They were an ethnic group that spread right across the north of China, the northeast of China, in Dongbei, parts of Russia. These days it's Russia, back then obviously it wasn't. And across Inner Mongolia, and I think even in Xinjiang. So this guy behind me, this guy was a Man general. So the Man were another ethnicity in China, and back in the Qing dynasty, the Man were the ones in charge. And this guy is very, very important because he brought the whole of Heilongjiang together. And they had a war against Russia in 1685, and they won. And modern day China and Russia's border together in Heilongjiang was made thanks to that war led by that general just there. And just behind me in the distance is the train station that I was talking about yesterday, built by the Japanese. Let's go and take a closer look. So we're just passing now underneath the road to get to the train station. And there are actually two train stations these days. There's the old one that was built by the Japanese and designed by German engineers. And then there's the new one, which is used mainly these days. Obviously, in World War II, Japan invaded China, and they occupied this province for a very long time, and they built that train station. And there's something very, very interesting about the old train station, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. So this is the old train station built by the Japanese during the occupation, during World War II, and designed by German engineers. And the fun fact is that they have never found the drains for this place. So the drains that filter out rainwater and sewage and stuff like that, they've never been able to find them. But despite that, it's never ever been blocked or flooded or anything like that. These days, it's not actually used too much anymore because they built a brand new train station right next door, and that's used as the main train station for the whole of Qiqihar. Also, the letters just here say, "Long live the Communist Party of China." I think that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed Qiqihar, quite a different city to the ones that I usually show in my videos. Now I'm going to go and jump on a flight to Beijing to create a couple of videos there. So I hope you can subscribe to the channel to catch those videos, like this one, and I will see you then. Bye from Qiqihar, bye from me.